Okay, I want to preface this segment with just the acknowledgement that the Supreme Court is difficult to comprehend for various reasons. One, we're not lawyers, we're not legal scholars, we're not writing amicus briefs, but
Speak for
the
yourself.
Supreme okay, send me one. The Supreme Court, we will be talking about the Supreme Court more in this year
Mhm,
2024 of the Lord than we
mhm.
have probably our entire lives. And there are going to be cases on the Supreme Court docket that will have fundamental implications on the way our government functions as we know it and on our basic human rights. And we're
Totally.
going to talk about one of them briefly today. We're not going to get in the weeds on it, but we're going to talk a little bit about Chevron.
Totally. We're going to give you the non wonky take on a kind of wonky thing because it affects everybody. The Supreme Court has used this doctrine called Chevron Deference that says that when something comes down to a matter of technical expertise, like in the federal government, like the EPA regulating pollution, you have to know like how many like particles per square million miles of particles. I don't know, but like super technical stuff that only professionals in that field understand. Congress is able to delegate that responsibility of regulating at those levels of technicality to federal agencies. And that is Chevron deference. And they have said that the federal government has the power to sort of move within these boundaries like set out by Congress and to create policy in that sense. And what the current case is threatening at the Supreme Court right now is that it would roll back or eliminate Chevron
Right.
deference. And that would mean that Congress had to pass a law every time we wanted to change like whether forever chemicals were defined as X or Y, or
Mhm.
whether how
Mhm.
many particles per whatever are allowed in the air or in our water or anything.
Mhm.
And Congress is not equipped to legislate at that level of specificity. And so this is a really big deal for how federal agencies are going to operate.
Yes. Congress let's take the EPA for example, or to your earlier point, an air quality statute or
Yeah,
something. The EPA currently has I'm using air quotes, but the jurisdiction to regulate and define what a particle count might look like because there are people who work at the EPA who are PhDs or very highly educated in the science involved in that. Imagine if the power was taken away from those people who are extremely educated in the matter and put into the hands of Mitch McConnell, MAGA Mike Johnson, Chuck Schumer for that matter. I love
nightmare,
Chuck.
nightmare,
Is he an air
nightmare.
particle? Does he know what's best for the health and well-being of our environment scientifically? Probably not.
We sell ads, Senator. Like, Congress doesn't even know how Facebook works. Literally,
Right.
like, we see them to hold these hearings, and they're asking the CEO of Facebook or Twitter or whatever, like, literally, how does it make money? How does the platform work? Imagine them trying to legislate on super technical air pollution standards. And it's not even just a matter of expertise, because of course they have like professional staff, they have lots of resources, they have money, they
Mhm.
can have people testify, but it's also about the sheer volume that you have every federal agency, the largest
Right.
employer in the country, doing and making these kinds of decisions at the same time all of the time. And that
Totally.
is, I think, a really important tool in our fight against climate change. And a lot of the big societal problems that we face is that we need a more agile and a more responsive federal government, not
That's
one
right.
that bottlenecks absolutely every single emergency response in Congress, where we know that there's like record gridlock. I've said before, we're having the least productive Congress we've had in several generations.
Yeah.
To give those people the power over whether my water is drinkable and my air is breathable is
Right.
terrifying.
Truly, what do they know? Not much. The too long didn't read for me was weakening or eliminating the doctrine of Chevron deference could limit the power of federal agencies to interpret the laws that they administer. It's going
Totally.
to leave them handcuffed to be able to actually effectively protect American, people and their interests and their safety. So the too long didn't read of this specific example is it's not gonna be great.
Totally.
And the Supreme Court has not even flirted with the idea of ruling on the Chevron deference for 15 years, but it is very, very highly used in lower courts.
Yeah.
So
There are actually 2 separate cases this term that could affect Chevron deference, but more importantly, let me light a fire under everyone's ass by pointing out that this is at the very heart of the conservative playbook. Like, they are
correct.
trying to eliminate our ability to have a functioning government that can respond to problems and make people's lives better, like, at the end of the day. And so it's not
Period.
fair, but we have completely different missions in what we're trying to accomplish. If you are somebody who thinks that we can actually make society better, that the future can actually be brighter, and that we can address the big challenges that we face if we work together and marshal resources effectively and think strategically and evolve technologically, like all of these things, if you are someone who believes in that, then this should enrage you because they are
Absolutely.
absolutely working decade after decade, year after year to undercut even the chance, even the potential that we have to do that. And
Make
this is
progress
another
as a
tool in
country.
that arsenal. Right. Exactly.
That's absolutely right. Dare I say it should chap your ass.
It should. It's chapped.